This school shooting was one where the shooter announced his intentions to the world beforehand, Lasty. Before we dive in, I want to note that today's topic is highly sensitive. I've done my best to share these tragic stories respectfully without dishonoring anyone's memory. On February 14th, 2018, at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, a young man named Nicholas Cruz arrived via Uber about 20 minutes before the school day ended. A monitor noticed Cruz walking purposefully toward Building 12, but campus protocol prevented a lockdown until a gun was seen. At around 2:21 p.m., Cruz entered Building 12, quickly assembled his weapon at the bottom of the stairs, and began his attack. A student, Christopher McKenna, caught him in the act. Cruz warned him, "You better get out of here. Something bad is about to happen." Chris fled and alerted staff, but it was too late. Cruz entered the first-floor hallway, where he encountered 3 students, Martin, Gina, and Luke, and killed them. He then closed the windows of a classroom and opened fire inside, killing 6 more students and wounding 13 others. The gunfire triggered the fire alarm, causing confusion, as a fire drill had already occurred earlier that day. Despite the active shooting, a code red lockdown was not immediately called due to confusion over who had the authority. Cruz fired into a Holocaust history classroom. Eventually, a staff member initiated a lockdown, but it was far too late. The shooting lasted about 6 minutes. Cruz fled, blending in with students evacuating the building. He walked 2 miles, stopping at a fast food restaurant for a soda. About an hour and a half after the shooting, police, on high alert, apprehended him in a nearby neighborhood, roughly 2 miles from the school. Cruz was taken to the emergency room for labored breathing, but was unharmed. He was then booked into Broward County Jail. That day, he killed 17 people, 14 inside the building, 3 en route to the hospital, and wounded 17 others. One survivor, Anthony Borges, was shot 5 times while barricading a door to protect 20 classmates, saving their lives. Tragically, 2 survivors took their own lives about a year later, suffering from severe survivor's guilt and PTSD. Now, let's discuss the shooter, Nicholas Cruz. He was the kind of person who made others uneasy. A quiet, brooding loner who seemed on the edge of snapping. Despite numerous red flags, no one fully anticipated his actions. Born on September 24th, 1998, in Margate, Florida, to a biological mother with a history of criminal activity and substance abuse, Cruz was adopted as an infant by Roger and Linda Cruz, a couple unable to have children of their own. They also adopted his younger brother, Zachary. From a young age, Nicholas exhibited behavioral issues, tantrums, aggression, and difficulty connecting with peers. His adoptive mother sought therapy and tried various medications, but nothing worked. As he grew older, his problems worsened. By middle school, he was known to school officials and law enforcement, with multiple suspensions for violent behavior, including threats. He was shuffled between schools, each time with hopes that a new environment would help, but he became increasingly isolated, posting disturbing images of dead animals, weapons, and threats online. Cruz's adoptive father, Roger, died in 2004, and his adoptive mother, Linda, passed away in November 2017, just 3 months before the shooting. With both parents gone, Cruz moved in with a friend's family who tried to help, but it was too late. By age 19, Cruz was consumed by rage and resentment, blaming Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School and its students for his troubles. He had been expelled from the school and fantasized about attacking it. Unlike most with dark thoughts, he meticulously planned his assault. In a chilling video recorded before the shooting, he said, "Hello, my name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple of tracer rounds. Location is Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event, and when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die!"
Hello. My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. Location is Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am. You're all going to die.
In the aftermath, there was widespread outrage. People demanded answers about how someone with such a troubling history could slip through the cracks. The school district, FBI, and local police faced scrutiny, but no single point of failure explained the tragedy. Cruz was diagnosed with ADHD, depression, and autism spectrum disorder, and was on and off medications, none of which helped.
And you're talking about demons. What are the demons?
The voices.
Well, tell me about it. What are the voices about?
It's another voice, the evil side.
Okay. And how long has that voice been going on?
Years.
Okay. When did it start, you think? When your mom passed?
It started worse when my mom passed.
I think you're using the demon as an excuse.
I'm not. I promise.
You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for marijuana. You could have stopped the demon by getting a prescription for Xanax. You could have stopped the demon by illegally doing marijuana, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon by doing Xanax illegally, which you were doing anyway. You could have stopped the demon anytime you want. You didn't want to stop the demon.
No, that's not true.
You didn't. You could have. I've given you 4 ways you could have stopped the demon, man. Okay, now you're just acting like that because...
No.
Okay, well, relax. You're just acting like that because I'm making sense. Calm down. I'm making sense, and you don't like when it makes sense.
No.
Because it doesn't fit into the story you're telling right now.
I'm telling you the story. It's true. It's
well, why are you looking at your arm now?
I'm trying to understand why.
Well, why didn't you want to stop the demon?
I don't know.
Because I think you like the demon.
No, I don't.
Why did you stop it then?
I don't like the demon. I don't like the demon. Well,
that's if the demon even exists.
During his interrogation, he claimed demons in his head urged him to act, a claim the interrogator doubted, suggesting Cruz used it as an excuse. The interrogator pointed out that Cruz could have sought help through legal or illegal means, like marijuana or Xanax, which he was already using, but Cruz insisted he couldn't stop the shouting demon. Unlike many shooters, Cruz did not take his own life. In 2022, he received a life sentence without parole. A trial determined he was eligible for the death penalty, but a final decision is pending. And that was Parkland. A tragedy wrapped in 6 minutes, but leaving scars that last for lifetimes. If there's one thing these stories scream at us, it's that warning signs are rarely invisible. They're just ignored. Families saw a troubled boy. Schools saw a problem student. The system saw another file in the drawer. Everyone saw, but nobody acted. For parents, maybe it's time to really ask, what's hiding behind your child's bedroom door at night? Homework or horror? For schools, rules and drills mean nothing if fear of paperwork matters more than saving lives. And for society, let's stop pretending that a teenager collecting guns and dead animal photos is just going through a phase. Because in the end, it's always the same. Survivors carry trauma. Families bury their children. And Lasty, well, Lasty dies every time. The real question is, do we keep laughing in the dark, or finally start turning on the light? A 9-year-old boy heard Lanza say, "Put your hands up!" amid pleas not to shoot. Lanza entered the main office, but saw no one, as nurse Sally Cox hid under a desk, spotting his boots just meters away. The school secretary and a nurse called 911 and hid in a closet for over 4 hours. Janitor Rick Thorne ran through hallways, warning classrooms and likely saving many lives. In room 8, a first-grade classroom, substitute teacher Lauren Rousseau tried to protect her students, but Lanza killed her and 14 children, aged 6 to 7. One 6-year-old girl survived, later telling her mother, sadly, all her friends were dead. In room 10, first grader Jesse Lewis shouted for his classmates to run as Lanza entered. 6 children escaped while Lanza reloaded, fleeing to a nearby home with a school bus driver. Teacher Caitlin Roig, 29, hid 15 students in a bathroom, barricading the door. A prior lockdown drill's window cover saved them, as Lanza assumed the classroom was empty. In the library, staff hid 18 children in a storage room, barricading the door with a filing cabinet. The attack lasted 5 minutes. Lanza then shot himself in the head. Police arrived and discovered the horrific scene. 28 people dead, including 20 students, 6 teachers, and his mother. No note explained his motives, but Lanza was severely mentally disturbed. He had attended Sandy Hook as a child and lived with his mother, a gun enthusiast who introduced him to firearms. Diagnosed with sensory processing disorder and Asperger's syndrome, Lanza struggled with sensory overload and social interaction. He became obsessed with mass shootings, particularly Columbine, studying and admiring it. His mother homeschooled him after he couldn't cope with regular school, keeping an arsenal of weapons at home. In his late teens, Lanza withdrew completely, spending time in a dark room playing violent video games and obsessing over mass murderers. He had no friends, minimal contact with his father, divorced in 2009, and grew paranoid and delusional, planning the attack for months or years. And that was Sandy Hook. 5 minutes of terror that forever scarred a community. 20 children, 6 teachers, and a mother gone. Adam Lanza left no note, no clear motive, only a legacy of grief and questions that will never fully be answered. For Lasty, our unlucky stickman, tragedy is always a punchline. But in real life, there's nothing funny about it. The lesson? Ignoring red flags, unchecked mental illness, and easy access to firearms is a recipe for disaster. We laugh at Lasty's misfortune, But society cannot afford to laugh at its own failures. Two tragedies: Parkland and Sandy Hook. Different schools, different years, but the same deadly pattern. Red flags ignored, mental illness untreated, and guns too easy to get. For Lasty, our unlucky stick figure, death is inevitable, just another punchline. But for the real victims, it's permanent. These aren't just stories, they're warnings. How many more times must classrooms turn into crime scenes before change happens? Laugh at Lasty if you want, but don't laugh at reality. If we forget, we fail. If we act, maybe one day Lasty will be the only one who dies.